Hello again. Welcome back to your 5-minute devotional stop with me, Amy Phillips. I'm on a journey moving from fear to faith, and I hope you'll join me for Just Believe.
Hello, friends. So this week, a friend said something to me about the crowded kindnesses of God. And so I went and found this quote she was talking about by Alexander Maclaren. He says, "Seek to cultivate a buoyant, joyous sense of the crowded kindnesses of God in your daily life." Then I read of missionary Jim Elliot writing to his wife. He said, "Amy Carmichael writes of little joys like flowers springing up by the path, unnoticed except by those who are looking for them. Little things like a quietly sinking sun, a friendly dog, or a ready smile. These are the crowded kindnesses of God. The sunrise, the color of the sky, the breeze on a hot day. They can add up in our days if we pay attention to the ways God is trying to speak to us. There are so many of them, there's really too many to count. But it takes an awareness of God, that He is always with you, in your car, in a meeting, at coffee with a friend, to see the crowded kindnesses of God. We're not just to know and be intimate with God in prayer or when reading the Word. No, we can be intimate with Him always. He's always with us, and He's displaying His love for us if we'll open our eyes to see in the moment all around us. Now, maybe you need to stay right there with what I've just shared, and you only need to awaken yourself to see and be reminded of the love of God all around you. Gratitude that transforms our hearts and our minds, kindnesses that transform us. We are loved. But maybe you want to take it a step further in the crowded kindnesses of God. Here's my speculation and question this week. Could it be that the crowded kindnesses of God are not just found in the beautiful things, but even in the painful things, those things that nag at us, that destroy our peace? Could it be that even in those things, there is the kindness of God to draw us into intimacy through those things? I heard a dear friend tell me again about a painful moment in her life. In deep anguish and tears, she saw her grief as a huge ball in front of her. As she looked at it in her mind's eye, she saw a door on it. And she thought of that verse from Revelations 3:20. It says, Jesus speaking, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me." I think we often think of that verse as Jesus coming to the person who's far from Him. We think of salvation with that verse. Let Jesus in to eat with you, to live with you. But in this moment, she knew He was asking to come into her suffering with her. He was awaiting an invitation to be let in, to sit with her, to grieve with her, to be with her in her suffering. Jesus is knocking today on the doors of our suffering, wanting to come into our suffering, wanting to meet us there. This is a place of intimacy that we don't get any other place except right in the midst of pain. When we let Him in, our grief is met with compassion, our fears are met with perfect love, and we experience the glory of God. When we allow this place, power comes inside of us where we know how to draw away with Him when pain comes. It becomes our go-to rather than the addictions of the world. He becomes our comfort instead of what the world could offer. 2 Corinthians 1 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in affliction with the comfort with which ourselves are comforted by God." It's the Father's delight to comfort us. He wants to be invited into the mess. This is beautiful kindness. This week, there's been so much death and grief outside of my own life circumstances that if unchecked, I can allow it to become this frenetic movement in my heart, causing anxiety and fear. But even there, I need to engage the Lord's kindness in coming into this suffering with me. Therein lies the power to follow Jesus through anything. Because here's the truth. The days are dark. We don't have time to let trauma derail us, to keep us from comforting the ones who need comfort. May we be faithful in seeing the crowded kindnesses of God everywhere and in everything. I'm really undone by this. The crowded kindnesses of God being not just the beautiful things around us, but also the sorrows and suffering. So I took time this week to look at my grief in this time. Some of it was from the world, wars and floods and death, and some of it was my own disappointments and traumas. I sat and I opened the door in my mind and I said, I swing wide the door. Come in, Jesus, come into my disappointment, my pain, my suffering, come into my fears, come into my anger. I need you here with me because I don't want to handle this alone. If we don't allow Jesus right into our mess, this is where we get stuck. We need him right in our pain. So I'm taking this pain and disappointment and at times despair, and I'm saying, Jesus, come in. This is one of your crowded kindnesses, bringing out of those things a deeper place in you. All I have to do is open the door. So pray with me today. Lord, I want to get the glory of the Lord from every painful encounter. I want to turn this season of pain on every corner into an oasis of your presence. Turn it into a full and overflowing banquet for those who would need to come and eat and drink and be comforted. Lord, teach me to open the door so that I don't stay inside fretting. Let me get every drop from this time, unashamed to just lay down and receive you in it. Let it be the springboard to more love, to more power, and to more of you in my life. Jesus says to his disciples right in the middle of the storm on the lake as he walked by their boat, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." And he says the same to you today. Do not fear, just believe.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you feel encouraged and strengthened. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at amybphillips.com. See you next time.